Here, let me just wait. Okay, perfect. So we are also live on Facebook. Hello, good morning, stateside. Good afternoon here in Spain. I hope you're all having a great day. Today is Friday, March the 20th, and I wanted to do today's update to just continue talking about obviously what has been happening. We continue to see cases scale, not just here in Europe, but also in the US. And this is to be expected as more testing becomes available, as more people get tested. And remember the 2 week incubation period. So when we have a 2 week incubation period, the cases that we're seeing right now probably got infected about 2 weeks ago. So all of the measures that we started taking on Monday and Tuesday, and so far this week, for those of you who have actually been taking these measures, we're not going to see the fruit of those actions that we're taking until 2 weeks from now. I had a very interesting conversation last night with well, I spoke with a lot of people, but specifically with Dr. Rishkin. Rishkin, geez, I'm butchering his name. I'll apologize later. But he put together a document over the weekend detailing what to expect and trying to expedite a bill to stop all elective procedures, because we're still seeing hospitals and healthcare systems, and specifically private ORs, that are still performing elective surgeries. And this is putting at risk both the patient and the providers, because nobody's taking the appropriate measures to assume that the people that they're operating on, or that the providers are being safe from further infection. Now, here is the very important thing, and that I want to emphasize once more, and it is that the reason we are making this effort to flatten the curve, as we're saying, and to stay home and to avoid places and to avoid infection, is because the current healthcare system as we know it, does not have the capacity to treat and to provide respiratory support for all the people that are going to need it if we all catch this disease at the same time. Now, we're seeing a lot of images still from people in Florida who just decided to start spring break early, and the beaches are packed, and we're seeing photos in Mexico City and all over the place in America and Latin America, where people are still not following these directions. Let me just say, I don't want to say that I come from the future, but here in Spain, we were in the exact same spot about 10 days ago. And now it's been declared a state of emergency here. And most cities are in lockdown, and people are forced to stay indoors. The police are driving up and down the streets, ensuring that people are staying indoors. The only businesses that are open are pharmacies and supermarkets. That's it. No restaurants, no shops, no stores, no offices, nothing. So please heed the recommendations and stay indoors, and let's stop the spread. Let's just be clear. More likely than not, the likelihood of you developing a serious disease and death and respiratory illness from COVID-19 are very low. Yes, we're talking about...
Always serious.
Okay, Siri is speaking up over here. So the risks of you developing a serious disease, like I was saying, are very, very low, about 1 to 2%, okay? Let's be conservative.
Okay, I found this on the web. For a serious disease are very, very low, about one.
iPad. So let's just assume that it is just 1%. And as I was saying yesterday, if 300 million people develop this, let's just say that not even 300 million people, let's say that 100 million people get this. In a country like the United States, where there's 350 million people living, and 100 million people get it. That means that even at just 1%, there's going to be the need for 100,000 beds in the next 14 days. We're not talking in 2021, we're not talking 2025, we're not talking 2030. We're talking that if we don't flatten the curve in the next 72 hours, we are going to need at the very least 100,000 hospital beds in the United States alone, and that's being very conservative. That's just for the very tiny percentage of people that are going to develop an important disease. Now, if you add on top of that all the other people who have the need for a hospital bed because they have cancer, because they have heart disease, because they have diabetes, because they're morbidly obese, because they have autoimmune disorders, because they have terminal illnesses, what's going to happen with them? What's going to happen to your relatives or to somebody in your family or to somebody that you care about who suddenly has a heart attack? They won't be able to take care of that person. If somebody has a stroke, they won't be able to care for that person. If somebody has appendicitis, nobody will be able to care for that person. So it is very, very important for us to recognize the need to stay home is not because we are afraid of us developing a serious disease. I keep seeing this over and over and over. People are posting online and they're saying, well, I think this is just being built up by the media. This is just being hyped up, and the worst thing that could happen is that I'm going to get a severe case of the cold, of the flu for about 2 weeks, but then I'm going to survive. The likelihood of you surviving is incredibly high. Yes, I want to repeat that. But the reason we're emphasizing this is not for you. We're emphasizing this for the people that you care about, for the people that you love, for those relatives who are over the age of 60, 65, for those relatives that you have who have heart disease, who have autoimmune disorders, who have autoimmunity, like I was saying, who have cancer, who have wiped out immune system for whatever reason. That's the people that we want to care about, that we want you to emphasize, because even at 1% complications, if we all get it at the same time, we don't have enough beds in the United States, in Mexico, in Europe, anywhere. We don't have enough beds to care for 1% of the population at the same time. That's the one thing that you have to get inside your head. Now, the smartest thing to do is assume that you have the virus and that you're contagious, even if you don't have symptoms. If you think of it that way, every time you step outside, you're risking spreading the disease, you're risking affecting somebody else. If we look at the numbers, the R naught, which means how many people get infected from each carrier, is 3 in the case of coronavirus. So if you think of it this way, if you go outside, you're going to spread the disease to 3 people. And if those 3 people do the same thing, they're going to spread it to 9 and so on and so forth very, very, very quickly. So our job, for those of us who are not in the health field, who are not in the front lines right now, like many of my colleagues are, our job is to stay home and flatten the curve. Are we going to eventually get coronavirus? Probably we will, and we will develop immunity, and that's fine. But what we want is that if people are going to get it, we want not everyone to get it within the next 2 months. We want everyone to get it within the next 24 months. Then we'll be able to deal with the 1% of complications. Right now, we cannot deal with 1% of complications if 200 million people get it within the next 10 days. All right? So that's it for today. I really wanted to emphasize that. I really wanted to hit that one home. And if you have any questions, I will be doing updates tomorrow and Sunday as well. It's not like I'm going anywhere. So just let me know. Leave them below or leave them wherever you're watching this video. And let's do this. Stay safe and take good care. Bye-bye. And now, here.